Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 51st episode of Cultist Simulator the Dancer DLC, playing as Margaret Zell. So we've done more or less the same thing the last couple of episodes, and it's just a reflection of the fact that we're in a fairly comfortable position as far as our followers and our summons. There's going to be a little bit of awkwardness in terms of the resummoning, so we're currently bringing a Callagine in, and we're talking with a Callagine. Eventually we'll bring the percussicant in for preservation as well. But ultimately right now we're in a spot where we're going to need some more locations in the Rending Mountains, but in order to get that we're going to need to upgrade some forbidden epics, which of course is going to require some glimmerings. So right now we've been focusing on translating and reading the last two books in our collection. That will allow us to focus on upgrading the forbidden epics and generating the inputs that we require. As you can see here, we're going to have two cards which will decay into erudition. So really that's just a question of making sure that we have a glimmering to match the erudition when it becomes available. But that sort of stuff takes time. It's one of the reasons why I do hold off upgrades until the very end, because as I've said a couple of times, it's much faster to get lore straight out of a book. But of course, it's a little bit like going to the library. You will get smarter if you read a book. You will probably get smarter at a faster rate if you are reading the right books to the subject that you're interested in knowing. As far as some of the other cards, so we're currently working on a summoning. We're translating a text. We've got a Season of Suspicion potentially coming up, but I believe the investigation is going to overlap, so I think this is equivalent to a free turn. We're going to the Stag Door. This is partly because we don't have the summon in hand yet, and I want to do something with the Dream Slop. And the Callagine is just being preserved. We already talked about hiring the Hulking Fellow so that we can sacrifice them to the Stag Door when the time comes. I can't recall if they need to be a prisoner for that. I should take a look. Well, you know what? We can imprison them and then we'll worry about it. Okay, 28 seconds, so yes, we won't have to worry about the investigation. Not all the Forge's children are bright. Its offcuts and its bastards gather in the bounds like hammerscale in the cracks of a smithy floor. Sorry, gather like hammerscale in it's. Let's try that again. Not all the Forge's children are bright. Its offcuts and its bastards gather in the bounds like hammerscale in the cracks of a smithy floor. Here comes one now. So this Callagine, when it's available, is going to be going into the talk verb. We don't need to worry about that rising heat. We are going to we are going to go back to the gaiety though. Stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. And this will buy their loyalty for now. Now we've got them for 2 minutes, so I don't need to worry about betraying them quite yet. Okay, so Season of Ambition's coming up. We have completed our steps, so I could also bring the entry consultant in, but I have some rules in terms of who I'm willing to sacrifice. Nothing, my words cease like sand in a glass. Okay, so we're gonna take this Callagine for a no. First thing I'm going to do is turn in the commissions and get some new ones. I have what was requested. I've received the currency of the secret world and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So that's an erudition for us, not as important, but it can be used as an input if I need. Next up, let's chat with Dr. Adim for a commission. We'll also chat with Madame Bichet, and then we're going to try and preserve my summons. Obviously summoning the Callagine was a little premature, but it's what I had available. Now if I want, I could actually try to summon yet another Callagine from this subtle rupture. I don't know if that's really all that necessary, so let's go to the Painted River And another forbidden epic. Now, these aren't great, right? Because I am going to need to take the time to level them up, but it's at least raw material for unresolved ambiguities. And again, I'm not in a position where I can get rid or can go to the spider's door with haste. So there's a great chamber in the mansis through which the painted river flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in the years before she left the house. Certainly, there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails, flecks of gold leaf when I was done. So I'll try one more trip to the stag door before we do something terrible. And we've translated the work, so... and it's the same text as before. So let's read The Sky and the Soul. Cal's verses are brief, obscure, and often dominated by images of violence. A star is a pinprick, but the sun is a wound. And tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention. If I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. I'm a listen package of flesh and blood. Tonight they'll notice that. Okay, so Lantern Commission for Dr. Adim. I'm shocked. And let's talk to Madame Miché about a new commission. She's seeking pieces for the notorious Karashim Review. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. And lucky me, we've got a Course of the Heart, so if we get sick, we've got some protection. There are actually summons that will give you protection from sickness. I'm trying to remember which one of them would. Yes, I should try that at some point, actually. All right, we finished with the gaiety, so I want to do the commission. Here's what she needs, a very substantial commission on Forge. Okay, so in this case here, I'm going to talk to the Hulk... No, sorry, I don't talk to the Hulking Fellow. I will take the temporary headquarters, and we will put the Hulking Fellow in the cupboard. This one must serve another purpose now. Into the cupboard they go. I've locked this one away safely. When their screaming and raving subsides, I will subdue them properly. So that generates notoriety, but I don't think we'll have a season... Well, we can't know, but this one rails weakly against their fate. So the one thing I am slightly curious... freedom, death, or... So yeah, there are some more options. I guess the question is, am I willing to give up the talk verb to find out? Not quite yet. In fact, I forgot that these things don't have an expiry now, so let's get the Callagine into the talk verb. This is such a boring option, but I'm gonna run with it. And it's another season of ambition, so I do need to prepare for a restlessness. I guess one thing I can do is I can get the Callagine to do some exploration, the expiring Callagine to do some exploration for me. Heart pumps more strongly today. And this is a fortune teller, so somebody who's not deserving of death. The painted river runs from a great chamber near the white door, far through the mansis to its far edge, where it enters a painted delta of far cloud. I voyaged half its length last night, with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised a yearning shanty and close-hauled the sails to best use the painted wind, and all the while the captain and I discoursed on the secrets of the House of the Sun. It is always possible to be deader, Cal states. The watchman goes before, none but 7 may go after. Yet surely we are born to the glory as the sparks fly upwards. So the formula concursit, this is a higher level lantern lore than we've had previously. So the concursum waits at the lantern, the concursum waits at the lantern of the mantis. It has been called the Chamber of Ways and also the Chamber of Endings. Its intricacies are probably beyond human comprehension, but these formula are the first approximation. Alright, well, if I want to go through the spider's door, I have the option now, so let's run with it. In my dreams, I know the path through the silken stands to the spider's door. If I slake its thirst by spilling fresh blood before I sleep, it will open to me. So our options are lore or a prisoner, so we can't just voluntarily take a follower and throw it in there. The spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world, and the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. I'm trying to remember if there's something I can get from the concursum that I want. Alright, Lochcali, Kanishk's victim and lover, wrote this account, perhaps posthumously. Kanishk sought to become a name. In pursuit of that end, he made Lochcali the vessel of his appetites, promising Loch that they would ascend together. At the spider's door, he betrayed his lover. Finish the manuscript. Okay, so good news there. We're going to have to go to the Gaiety before I follow up. And I should be reading the text for the season of Ambitions. What hungers drive us? Toward the 4th change. For the next change, I must soften myself to receive the agencies of alteration. When I go into the last skin, all this me will dissolve, dapple, dapple, soon, so soon, dapple, dapple. Change stigma. My darkness is paled, and all my colors are bleached. New lobes bud about my most receptive elements. I am dewed with secrets. I carry a, I think it's scolecite prism tucked beneath my pale tongue. Cease like sand in a glass. Alright, so I gotta think about whether or not I want to do anything with talk. We also have old and happy far off things, which is going to generate some restlessness. Got a season of sickness coming up, so this is going to be one of those times where I get to try Flaxian. Request a stay of execution. The residents of the Mansis are not subject to the ills of the flesh. Some of them sometimes can extend their protection to those of us trapped out here in the wake. So, I believe this only works if it's your last health. So this may just be a waste of time, but I would like to mess around and see what happens. Toward the 5th change, the door I will pass is never visible to either the waking eye or the eye that is closed. I must surrender those eyes to one who knows the way so that I can see. Okay, so we're gonna explore with this Caligine now. This one will go away, but that's fine. I can live with that. And right, because it's a season of sickness. And actually, are we going to be done in time? 35-4, 35-5. No, so I mean, this is a waste of time, but that's fine. I still want to try and see how that works. Crowded thoroughfares. Crowded thoroughfares by day, a fog-wrapped labyrinth by night. I'll set my minions to searching for opportunities. Now, this restlessness, I was thinking about turning it into a dread to deal with the fascination, but that's probably that's not really the best use. In this case, I have the opportunity at the Gaiety, I should take it. and just get rid of the fascination if I need to through other means. Okay, so we've got a Forbidden Epic here. That's a pretty weak choice on its own. So I think here we'll go to the Mallory. Hey! Lucky. An unresolved ambiguity. Last night in the... let's read this again. In the Mantis, the hours strive one against another. As the struggles are resolved, they iron out the impossible, exalt the possible, tie the fraying braids of what has been into one golden ribbon of future. Everything is resolved, history becomes the past. There are, however, exceptions. Last night in the Mantis, I visited the Mallory, from whose hammers and crucibles one does not emerge unchanged. And for 9 beats my heart ceased while it entered the fires of the forge, and the passions of the forge entered into it. I woke with the dawn, and its poor divided colors inspire memory of the forge's passion for the sun, of the vagabond's curse, of the grail's deep longing. So many half-memories. So we may have to deal with sickness, but I'm not going to give up the dream slot for that. We don't have a fleeting reminiscence, so there's not much we can do about the fascination right now. And again, I have a feeling I'm probably just going to be able to let this expire, but in this case, the one thing I don't want to do is let this turn into dread. There's other uses for sure. So let's go back to the stag door. The stag door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The headgear bee weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. The Chiliarch listened to the betrayal, and then forced Kanishk into his service. The Chiliarch cannot be denied. Loch Cowley remained to write this work, and to describe the outer magics of struggle and conquest. So an operation of the Labite, which is one we already have. Now, as far as upgrades are concerned, if I'm following the usual idea that I have of wanting to preserve the lore that I already have, there are actually a couple that we can improve. I'm probably not going to until the absolute end of my Secret Histories investigations, but here's a couple of examples. So if we look at something like the Lionsmith's names, well, I can upgrade, but what I would have to do is upgrade the Colonel's names, the Lionsmith's names, and then that would give us the higher level. So we would have 2 gaps, which is not something I want to do. And it sort of seems like that's true for a lot of my lore, but the exceptions would be Winter, so we can take the Operation of the Declining Sun to get a 3rd invocation of the Ivory Dove. That in turn can be used for the next level of Winter. And then the same is true of... Oh, sorry, actually there's 2 more. No, sorry, there isn't, because the Lantern doesn't work. So Lantern, we could take the Unmerciful mantra and turn it into a Fenian invocation, but we couldn't turn that Fenian invocation into a formula concursion. However, with the Ecdysis Parable, we can move that up to Moldy Warp Admonitions. Moldy Warp Admonitions turn... Nope, sorry, my apologies, because then we only get the other... I thought the 4 would have changed. No, sorry, no, it is right. So, because we've got a bunch of Barber's Warning, Wood Whispers, and Ecdysis Parables, we can actually eventually move our way up to the Centipede Testament and upgrade that and still have one of each. That, of course, is a very large undertaking because we're going to have to move multiple lore up. So, and if I'm already getting cranky at the time that it takes to load up Secret Histories, that's certainly going to be an adventure to do it for Moth. So our focus right now is going to be on upgrading our Forbidden Epics, especially because it does actually have a very practical side effect of letting us get on expeditions again. So, all that said, let's get the components that we need to be able to upgrade the Forbidden Epic. And in this case, it's going to be Glimmering. So read sentimental literature. If I propose to learn anything, I wouldn't be reading this stuff. On a personal note, I've actually finally gotten around to reading some more sentimental literature. I have, because of what I've been signing out of the library, I have definitely been overweight on nonfiction for a very long time, and the majority of my time is still spent on a lot of nonfiction. It is also just very interesting, right? You can still get a lot out of Cultist Simulator if you read a lot of history, for instance. But for one ambition for a while has been to properly get back into reading fiction and on a regular basis, and also to just sort of start closing some of the gaps in things that I feel like I should have read by this point. And And one of the first ones I'm actually starting with is H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, which I'm not very far in, but I'm surprised how engaged I am from the start, because I'm accustomed to reading stuff which, you know, takes me a little while to get into. But it's engaging, so I'm looking forward to that. And more importantly, I'm trying to build up that habit of making sure that I am spending some time on both, basically. That I'm taking the time to read some fiction and nonfiction, and hopefully become a more well-rounded and interesting person. I felt other eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer, too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. So, I have a few options available to me. So I could do a commission, but I can also use the... Oh no, sorry, we still have the Season of Ambitions going, so let's just get the Forge commission done then. Probably won't be that long to work it all out, but there's really no point in waiting. Right, I might have found somewhere unusual. Well, I don't need that, so let's hope we can find somebody deserving of sacrifice. I'm no further along my path of change. In the movements of the secret forms, I must find my lesson. Alright, so that's another restlessness to deal with. I don't think we're gonna be able to use that in time for the Gaiety. However, unless a Season of Despair comes up, or a Season of Visions, we should be able to get rid of the fascination that way. A bomb maker. You are deserving. I become unwell. Right. The percussivant will weave into the beat of my the percussivant will weave the beat of my heart into the steps of its dance unending, and that might be enough. The day of execution. All flesh fails, but I've been promised that my flesh will fail a little later. This is a final insurance against sickness if no health remains to you. Yeah, so I did actually do this once before, so it's good to know. I don't think it's useless, but it's maybe not something I need to rush to get, and I am still going to need to use more traditional means to protect myself. It does make things a little awkward, though, as far as trying to deal with the restlessness now, because if you notice, if I want to take advantage of the current vitality, I'm going to have to use that in the dream slot, but then the fascination's going to be gone. I mean, in the end, I gotta pick what I value the most. For the time being, though, let's talk to the percussivant to extend the life of my summons, and we'll figure out the rest as we go by. I also keep forgetting how I replaced my headquarters. I think it's exploring with the temporary headquarters, but it may not be a bad idea to wait on that anyway, because removing the temporary headquarters is going to mean that I can get rid of a notoriety, and given the fact that this one's going away relatively soon, there isn't necessarily a big advantage. Well, don't need to worry about fascination anymore. Light leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. I dreamt of the mantis behind the white door, of the great space above the orchard, the space that overlooks the bounds, the space where the vagabond once painted her river. Painted ships passed upon the painted river. I met the painted eyes of a painted captain. She saluted, and the motion was like the layered movement of clouds. The sail of the ship was amber, and the captain's eyes the green of new barley, and the river aquamarine. Now that I'm awake, I see those colors still. So we're not going to get rid of this right away, because we still need to deal with the sickness. In fact, for 25 seconds, I'm just going to keep the dream slot open. Heresy on my playthroughs, I know, but I passed the time. I have been inclined to tears and afterwards inclined to laughter. Meanwhile, the world continues. Now, am I going to be able to use the erudition within 47 seconds? I don't think so, but this lesson learned is going to decay anyway, so let's take these forbidden epics and level them up. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. I finished the manuscripts. So at some point I want to talk with Dr. Adim for a new commission, but for the time being, let's get work done. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Okay, Season of Despair is coming up, so I will be able to deal with the sickness through other means. So it's better for me to lose this vitality. This illness has damaged my health. I will need to rest before I'm fully recovered. Cure your affliction with funds or vitality. Okay, let's go. I'm sure there's a better way I could have managed it, but I've locked this one away safely. When their screaming and the raving subsides, I will subdue them properly. And a shifty woman. Is being shifty sufficient for sacrifice? I should have talked with Dr. Adim before I did any of this. That was a mistake on my part. Okay, so given that news, how do I want to spend my time? I could go to the Ecdysis Club, or I could just go back to the Gaiety. We are still on kind of a trajectory where we're losing a bit of money, so let's go back to the Gaiety, and let's see if we can maybe generate a vitality through using heart. Alright, this is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. So we didn't use the old erudition, but we have the opportunity here. This glimmering's still going to last us, so we're fine, although I suspect there's going to be a really tight window in which I'm going to be able to upgrade the other forbidden epics. I suspect we'll miss it, but we'll give it a shot anyway. The air is curdled now. I'm home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. So, fleeting reminiscence. We'll just hang on to the affliction here. We have 2 minutes, so let's go back to the spider's door. Not quite sure why I thought I would use... Incidentally, I do believe I should be able to make it to the peacock door with the lantern that I have. Yes. Oh. Yeah, no, that's fine. But we are gonna use our follower instead. Spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks and threads and spills through the skin of the world, and the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. Okay, Season of Suspicion coming up, so I may want to think about how I'm going to get rid of that notoriety. And the light, the dark. Moth finds light in the dark, and so do I. So, luckily for me, that means I've got a glimmering for the... for my studies. Unluckily, I still don't have vitality for my sickness, but we are earning money, so I can at least pay for it. Okay. Yeah, so that's to the cupboard. I must be careful of the company I keep, so let's see what we can do here. I am going nuts. Change of premises, right. We could move our base of operations here if we so choose. Move our organization's headquarters to a new location. This will permanently relocate your headquarters. No return is possible. It can reduce notoriety. 41 seconds on this. Good, okay. I was worried. This is more to help us with the unresolved ambiguity when it comes up here, but again, it does mean that I'm able to take advantage of more glimmering, and that will that'll be a factor when if this expires. This is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. So there's the glimmering we needed. So could I be if it could be not this? We got 180 seconds on this glimmering, which means we go straight into upgrading the Forbidden Epic. We know that we'll have a library that we can use if we need it. And then we just put that glimmering in. So we know we'll be able to get at least one other upgrade done. I don't really need the imperative of appetite. Now, in my experience, the Chamber of Ways has not really given me what I need as often as I need it. And the Mallory, at minimum, gives me another item that I can summon forge things with. So generally, my tendency has been to go to the Mallory. That may have changed, and I mean, especially because the game doesn't show you what was available in the other location, I may want to try and have a little bit more variety in terms of the locations that I go to. But my focus right now is going to be the Mallory. And this is the item I was talking about, the essence. Sorry. In the later operations of the forge, the Madrigard yields to the true Forge of Days, and the essence begins to redden. Someday, perhaps, it will not, but for now, we have this. Last night in the Mansus, I visited the Mallory, from whose fires one does not emerge unchanged. The forge's light fell upon me, and my heart boiled, and when I woke, my blood burnt within me, so that I had to shed it in a cup before it overwhelmed me. And lo, 10 drops of it were not blood exactly, unless it be the blood of the sun. Perhaps I found the cup, and the blood is not mine. The forge seer's memory. So, the reason I find this kind of useful, and again, it's sort of up to you to decide what the most interesting or the most kind of the most useful items are. But one of the reasons I like getting this item from the Mallory is that it's a 12 strength ingredient. So this is the sort of thing where, because you know you have and again, like the way I play in this game is very, very conservative. It does not need to be, because I've just got a desktop full of stuff. And I do not need that many duplicates. I don't need that many, I don't need that much extra, to be completely honest. But what's nice about having a regular source of ingredients like this is that it opens up the possibility of things like the Rite of Mother's Mercy, the Rite of Cease Fasting, and I think the Crow's Quenching as well. You can kind of tell because you see, something being emptied into the sea, or, well, not always sea, but you get the idea. And so because if you're a little more willing to give up ingredients, all of a sudden, you're not just relying on things like the Sunset Rite or the Rite of the Map's Edge to give up influence. You're able to do, a little bit more with items that you don't feel the same sort of attachment to. Whereas, let's say, I wanted to do the Rite of Rebel Striving and I give up the Paradoxical Curio. I think that's actually the only Secret Histories item that I can get, and so it can be useful in a unique summoning, but it may be something that is a little more like to me. I definitely sort of consider the rareness of an item when it comes time to use it as an input. So if I've got a collection of Meravine idols, sure. So for instance, a Meravine idol, Stained Gloves, Writhing Call, Noonstone, Wildering Mirror, Winged Doll are items that in principle I would be willing to part with, because these are ones that can be obtained more than once. On the other hand, Betty's Blade, that's a bit harder to give up. Although, again, if you've got more than one edge item on the table, the question is, well, do you really need more than one? It's not like you're using them. And it's basically because I'm a pack rat in this game. But that is maybe a conversation for another time. I think we've hit the limit for tonight. We've got a few kind of obvious steps to move on with. So we've gone through this spider's door. I've got 62 seconds left on the affliction, so I think the likelihood is that I'm just going to need to pay for medicine, which is fine. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I kept going back to the Gaiety. I can earn some money from that. But it's always nice to be able to recover through supernatural means. But that is it for tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.